Well, this one is called A Punk Anniversary. 40 years ago, in '76, I was 19 years old, in the hottest, longest summer we'd ever known. And I was disillusioned with rock and roll. There was a knock at me door. My schoolmate, Mark Perry, showed me his fanzine, Snipping Glue. It's all happening again, you've got to come back. I want you to write for the mag. He took me to see the Pistols at the Nashville, and my life was changed forever. I had to wear my long hair and interviewed the Damned, Subway Sect, Jam, Cortinas, Hot Rods, and reviewed the first punk gigs all over London for 10 months. Till May '77, I was at the forefront of pre-spitting punk. There at the start of the pogo, suddenly it was all about attitude and energy and how not to play your instruments. The old parts of rock and roll became senile overnight. The audience, in their droves, were dared to pick up guitars and climb on stage. Punk was raw, back to basics, and for a brief period, it was great to be alive again. The world turned upside down and punk was king and legends were born.
In a way, I think it relates very much also to Bradford. And it's like, it was an angry generation. Can you tell us a bit about that sort of like, it's very like short period of time when everything exploded, and why it was so short and so kind of like condensed almost like.
Well, there was a triumvirate. There was Malcolm McLaren, there was Bernie Rhodes, who were in competition, and there was Andy Sosowski. And they were all, by mistake or whatever, just clever people. And they were sort of Jewish, lovely people who wanted to create a stage for young people. And some of them had been to art school, and they wanted to give young people a stage. They felt young people were being shortchanged all the time. We had no money. Well, £11 on the dollar was pretty good actually then, because a lager was only 40p, and I'm just not going to do this. It's very cheap. But and they created an environment of art anger within. They loved working class people getting a voice. It was very beautiful for them to do that. And so what happened is it gathered momentum after the punk fest. But before that, it was just friends having a laugh.
Can we hear some more poems about that time? Because the book is apparently, like going chronologically from the beginning to.
Right. This is due to this title. We were the punk kings of dyslexia. We were the punk kings of dyslexia, the only magazine to have 1 million spelling mistakes, and we didn't care. Hammering away at our typewriters with 2 fingers, and if we mistyped, we didn't care. And if we misspelled, we didn't care. Because it was all for the moment, printing the fleeting second, the roller coaster zeitgeist. We typed what we felt as one-off honesty to the moment. Punk wasn't about nostalgia. It was anti-everything, an energy, rude, discourteous and humorous, debunking all and everything. Anybody who remembers much really wasn't there. It was a non-bookish, non-remembering time, living for the moment in self-destruction. It wasn't a time for anything but youth excitement, grasping the nettle of the now. That was 40 years ago, and punks, gigs and places are all a slivery of glorious punk vague memories.
How was the scene back then in terms of like violence also, and kind of like, and women also? Were there like punk bands or?
I saw the first Slits show, and I was standing next to Malcolm McLaren and Nora, the mother of Ariel, and Johnny Rotten, and I just loved the fact that they were just going wild, and we couldn't even work out what they were doing on stage. They were just running wild on stage. And Nora just said, my baby, she's 14 on stage. She's 14 years old. And because we're 19-year-old blokes and working class, we just giggled, you know, because we didn't know how to respond to any of it, really, you know. It was a beautiful mayhem going on.
And do you have any poem about that sort of like period when, I mean, like about like the sort of like the violence, that sort of the violence, the mix, and then that mixed culture, you know, that sort of.
Well, there was a lot of violence, but you know, it was that was London in the 70s. It's a bit like any town, you know, in London North, anywhere. You know, there was you couldn't look in people's eyes without them saying, "Are you looking at me?" And that's because it was the pre-ecstasy period. When after ecstasy, it was you're looking because you're a friend. You know, totally sort of upended. You know.
But today we were together when, you know, we went to a record shop, Jumbo shop down in town, and you told those kids, well, the two actually, they're not kids, you know, sorry, but you know, the two gentlemen holding the shop, you told them that lovely story about the Ronnie Scott, and it was quite like hectic, you know. It was.
Yeah, I was upstairs at Helena probably find it, but I was upstairs at Ronnie Scott's, and the punks really didn't like the jam. I liked the jam because they had energy. They were great for their energy, but everything in those days was about look. You know, so they wore a suit, so they were out. Yeah, but they were too.
Who was
good.
playing back then at night? Sorry, who was playing that?
The jam.
Okay, the jam. Yeah.
So I should just read this because you know, I trust him. This is called Riot at Ronnie Scott's. Break something, smash a guitar. Punks don't like you, hate your suits and tuning up. Break something on stage and the punks will go berserk, I said to Paul. The cold, snippy punk stared at the jam, unimpressed upstairs at Ronnie Scott's. Till fed up and defiant, Paul grabbed a monitor. Is this what you want? And threw it, smashing in sweet anarchy on the ground. Still pounding away in the city. The punks, roused from their zombie deads, went pogoing berserk. Adrian from 48 Thrills and Shane McGowan from Bondage started leaping in the air with Sid in pogo madness. They're a fucking important band, proclaimed Shane. One little trick, an act of unexpected minor violence, and the punks loved them as the Woking footballs started bashing them up. A fist in the face to a Nazi armband. My dad fought against that shit. The Jam were made in a riot that night.
I'd love to hear some more poems about that period and, you know, this kind of like vibe and this like, if you have any poem that you would read about this, sort of like, like one you suggest, yeah. Helen is the PR.
Yeah, I couldn't do without her.
Yeah, she's a very important member of.
The fact about violence is like at the punk fest, I tread on Sid Vicious's toe, and what would happen would be he'd punch the person next to him. But somehow I quite often got away with not being hit. But with this guy who he hit at the Ronnie Scott's gig in '76, he just, I didn't know this at the time, but when I caused this accidental mini riot, what happened was, in fact, he protected Chaotic Bass, this guy that got punched at the punk fest. So there was a lot of, Teds, they jump on people in those days, you know, yeah, it's the fact of life.
Yeah, no, sure. I mean, I like the fact that, you know, people were actually angry and also like angry for like you know, like life and, you know, like getting more out of the daily life, you know. So I think it's great.
Well, life in those days was sort of either you were at home with your mum, which I was, or you lived in a squat. You know, and so it's the squat and graffiti culture, which the hippies before. So we were just part of moving into that sort of same scenario. This is called punk pantomime violence. 76, you could get in a fight for just giving a stranger a dirty look. So punks out to look mean and tough were confrontational, provocative, and often getting into scraps. Fights were common, but most were put-ons. Why don't you kill me? I've suffered quite a bit of violence, sneaks breaking my teeth in pubs, mugged on the towpath, beer bottles and glasses thrown, spectacles smashed, and remorseful Ted saying, I'll buy you a new pair. Now you say, National Elf. By 77, the Grundy Furore Ted gangs wanted to beat punks up. Chelsea at the Hope and Anchor were invaded by 30 Teds, kicking and punching anybody wearing safety pins, and the police called. So Chelsea packed up their gear and everybody took the tube to the Roxy, our new club, and they sat up and played there. But it wasn't long before the Teds found out where the Roxy was. Millwall came down and beat the audience up. It wasn't till E-Towns, in the 80s, everybody got loved up.
Can I ask you, why did you call the zine Sniffing Glue, and why did you title your book The Punking of Dyslexia?
Okay, first things first, if I can get this out the right way.
Yeah, sure.
Punkings of Dyslexia, I've got it round the wrong way immediately, is because we were sausage-fingered punks. I had a little Silverette typewriter, and it was a two-finger job, so when you pressed it, sometimes you got the key on one side or the other, and you didn't get the right key, and you quite happily sort of leave it because you didn't want. You couldn't afford Tipex anyway. What was the other question?
Why did you call the zine Sniffing Glue back then?
Mark Perry called it. He started the magazine and came. This is in July. On July the 4th. 1976, the Ramones played at Roundhouse and at Chalk Farm, and Dingwalls. He got thrown out of the second gig because he got so excited he threw a plastic cup. So he actually missed the Ramones on the next day. But he was so overwhelmed by the experience because we had got bored with rock and roll. We were suffocating in a vacuum because the prog rock had gone too far and seats had gone too far. Sitting down as if you're listening to a classical concert and started to drive us berserk. Because the old hippie days, you could smoke, you could drink, you could lie on the floor. I mean, my brother used to snog girls behind me at the Lyceum, it was a lovely time, but that time had closed down, and because of Vietnam War had closed, there was an area of just desperation in music, which we didn't actually understand why we couldn't relate to it anymore. And the reason why Mark Perry knocked at my door is because we went to lots and lots of concerts, hippie concerts, and I stopped going. I just said, I can't stand it any longer. And then he knocked on my door in true enthusiasm and said in July 76, it's all happening again, you've got to come back. So he was trying to save me from my despair of rock and roll. And he took me to concert. I had no idea what was going on, but I realised it was going on again. But we saw bands like the Stranglers, and the Damned had just formed. But the Stranglers I loved suddenly. And I loved lots of these pub rock bands like Eddie and the Hot Rods and the Count Bishops. And we'd go around with badges of them. They were actually revivifying everything that was around. It was from the punk rock from pub rock coming out. And what happened is, I just had to write for it. So I said to Danny Baker, could you, so I took him to see Danny and said, could you look at that? And he didn't like the magazine as well, because it was Xeroxed, a Xerox magazine from his girlfriend, who he immediately split up from because he became a punk. And he was going to marry her before then, like 2 months before he said, this is my fiancée, we're going to marry. And he became a punk, and he gave up his job as a bank clerk and ditched his fiancée to go on this reckless scheme, into punk rock.
I've also heard another story about a girlfriend of yours, and actually, in a way, if I understood well, also, you left Sniffing Glue because of your girlfriend at the time.
No, I didn't leave. What happened? I was sacked.
Because of your girlfriend?
Everybody was sacked. The whole punk rock movement, everyone was sacked. And you just think, why were all these people sacking each other when, in fact, they had no money anyway, they never paid anybody. It was a complete caricature of capitalist structures.
It's about being sacked.
She's brilliant.
She's brilliant, yeah.
You're sacked, this is called. You're sacked. What do you mean? You can't sack me. I'm a punk. You're not punk enough. You don't put enough effort in. But I'm effortlessly punk. Who's ever heard of a hard-working punk? He's a capitalist, surely, out for himself. Anyway, I'm sacking the band. Because half of them can't play, and half of them can't do anything. I want my band to be pure artistic development, whilst resisting the charms of commercial sellout till we need the money. I can't have Chrissie Hynde in the band because she's too good. I'm searching for fast, humorous nihilism. Our band ain't even played a gig yet, but everybody's heard of us. We've got a world tour coming up, and I've just got to sack you all. Because none of you's got the same vision of where I'm taking this band.
This is brilliant, it's brilliant. Can you also read Alice? Because I really,
I'll explain this. Alice was my first girlfriend at the time of punk, and what was weird about it is her mum was so angry she was going out with a punk that she did the best thing ever. She ripped up all her clothes and left them outside her house in Bromley, Kent. And so all she needed was a packet of safety pins, and she'd have been the best punkette ever. But she threw them all and went to some sort of top shoppy place and ruined it a bit. Anyway, this is called... And she married a policeman. Well, you can't tell where these things are going. This is called Alice's Yoko moment. My first girlfriend, Alice, was helped into becoming a punk by her mum ripping up all her clothes and destroying her shoes. When she went out with me in revenge, Harry would drive us in a big white van to get the mag printed in Cambridge, where we go to watch A Star Is Born at the Flicks, while they were being printed, and crash out on the printer's floor for the night. Some blokes back then called women dogs. They had to prove themselves as punks. Sue Catwoman could hang around the glue offices because she looked the biz. The coolest icon, queen of punk. other girls had to play in a band to assert themselves to gain respect. But they looked so ugly it was beautiful, fashion Rotten describes. Can Alice come to our meeting? She's got some ideas, was the last straw for Mark P. A Yoko Ono moment to split up the new Beatles. I got the sack. Snipping glue was just for the boys.
And then two more questions. I've heard you writing your book about all your memories about punk. So if you can kind of like give us a few just information and intro about your book. And
well, it's very difficult to write a book 40 years on because you've thrown away all your diaries. You can't remember 76 from 77, and it's quite autobiographically knicker-twisting.
Yeah, and then today you just gave us you gave me a list of a few songs, the very few punk songs you like, and I have the list there. But I want to ask you why you like those songs and why you gave me these titles like New Rose. I can't read your. I'm sorry.
Oh.
I can't read your. Actually, you gave me the.
Anarchy in the UK.
Oh, Anarchy in the UK is that one. Oh,
Burning.
London Burning, yeah. And
Breakdown the
Breakdown the
Buzzcocks.
Buzzcock, yes.
Which I think we were
And
about.
Typical Girl. So why these songs?
Well, because they weren't typical girls. I mean, they even did videos of themselves where they go shoplifting with a trolley in a local shop. And the poor besieged shopkeepers would say, look, what are you doing? Sort of rolling around with this trolley with all you in, playing this game of throwing them all in. It was just very fun, very cheap, but very effective.
Thank you. Well,
Do you want to read the one about Buzzcocks?
yeah, if you want
Great.
to.
Great.
Or if any one of you has a question.
Anybody has a question?
Yeah.
Someone comes out tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
That's all tomorrow.
Maybe we can find a few of these songs.
But the
on
songs,
internet.
I think we probably can.
Yeah, on YouTube.
yeah, they're all on there. But they are gut reaction songs to me. I mean, I didn't know anything about chords and I was writing about music. And I did know a lot about music and the bands before and the punk bands. They were such a breath of fresh air. I just wrote about the excitement of what they were doing. And it was a time where knowledge was abolished. So it was very odd to sort of have a reference point when all knowledge was abolished except your gut feeling. And so I liked things because they meant something to me. And it was often something so in the back of your mind and in your stomach that you couldn't actually put your finger on why they were so important to you. They were just the zeitgeist of the moment, and they were the anthem of your heart and the backdrop of everything. Isn't my last, is it?
Yeah.
Right. This is called Lyrics of Anguished Subtlety. Seeing the Buzzcocks was always a joy, making bedroom boredom and supermarkets into art, putting humour into our measly lives, and manic guitar riffs that jangle with anxious tension. Fills my brain like porridge coming out of my ears, taken leave of my senses, I'm in arrears. How a Devoto with cropped orange hair stands twisted in front of the mic, his head always turned away from the audience, as he was soon to turn away from punk a bit, quitting with a manifesto. He didn't believe in movements, couldn't see it was going to turn. He could see it was going to turn sour and be eaten by its own cliches. Strangling development. I wander lonely as a crowd, now loaded, a nowhere warp of pain, living next to nothing, My never mind remains. I'm going to break down. Anything you want to change in the band? No. We like it the way it is, says Pete Shelley and Steve Diggle after the Harlesden Coliseum with the Slits and the Clash. Howard had been the first star to quit punk, but it ain't properly 77 yet. The audience don't know, I write, the buzzcocks don't know, and even we don't know what they're about, but we all know they're good, very good. Punk is daring to be presumptuous, and the buzzcocks' witty lyrics and off-kilter rhythms are generating a new confidence in the little things of our lives.